in fairness to Andy, it was a different show back then. It has changed. And what was true a few years ago is no longer true. And maybe we talk about those things that I've seen change over the last 4, 5, 6 years, and especially the changes that I've seen over the last few with the new ownership group taking over.
Yeah, and I think that exactly plays. So that clip plays us right into that first thought. This first thought really comes down to, so first thing first, and then I'm actually going to lead into a question about the get-together. We'll circle back around to it after, but I've got two related questions. The first one is, so now you've experienced the National. Between May and now, and even after the show and everything, has the communication gotten any better, or is it still kind of silence? Is it still kind of the same issue?
Same issue. Every time I text Joe Drellick, I get pawned off to some media relations person who is completely unresponsive. So I used to just talk to Joe, and now it's gotten layers of leadership, hierarchy, bureaucracy, whatever word you want to use, where that access is no longer available. Whether he chooses not to answer or just says, I don't have time to answer, that could be true. Those could be true. And I don't even, it's not even a question of, if he's too busy for it, then have somebody talk to me about this stuff. Whatever question, XYZ question I have, and it's crickets, quite frankly.
Right. Yeah, no, I think that's fair. And it's obviously not a show on the same scale, but on this side of the border, the Expo is kind of our big show that we do. And Steve Menzie, who runs out, also does Strong Zone, which I'll actually touch on in a couple minutes. So that'll be something that I'll bring up as well. But the thing is, Menzie and my dealings with him historically, whether it's in person or whether it's directly through connections, I also have mutual friends and everything. He's still very responsive because he does understand that. And mind you, I don't have 10,000 subscribers like Chris. I don't have quite that level of pull. But nonetheless, he's still responsive. He'll still answer. Oh, and he's also, the people that work with him also are the ones who run the logistics behind it. They're extremely responsive because they understand that, hey, I don't care if you don't have a trillion subscribers. That's not the point. The point is you're giving us advertising. And that'll kind of play into some of the conversation we're going to have. But
I've had the same positive experience with Steve and his people. It's been incredible.
So I think that's one thing he's done very well. I think he's maintained that even with the shows, even as it's gotten bigger and it's developed. I think he understands that that's part of the game. And at the bare minimum, somebody's got to answer. So to your point, I think I'd agree with that. So the communication hasn't been there, and obviously that plays a little bit into this the whole get-together. Let me touch on this real quick, and then I'll also circle it around to some other things. So obviously the Embassy Suites is where you guys were doing the get-together. Last year was actually in Cleveland, so that was a different city. But in that case, you guys, I think you rented out a Legion Hall is what happened last year.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
That's right. Wanted to do it on campus, or so to speak, at the National. Never got any response, even with, and that was year one of the new leadership crew, right? Was last year. Okay. In control. The year before in Chicago had been kind of a transition year where, they were there, the new old guys were leaving, kind of handing up the baton. And last year I wanted to do it at the show, just give me a room, or whatever. It's kind of the, little banquet hall off to the side. And there's plenty of them at the IX Center. And no response. Even with certain people in the hobby trying to grease the wheels for me that would have some pull, it never went anywhere. And so we just went, okay, well, let's find an off-site venue that can host our event, and all good. It worked out great.